Welcome back to Fight Buzz. Today we're taking a deep dive into Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Can Robert Whittaker withstand the relentless onslaught of Chimaev, or will Chimaev steamroll his way to victory? Let's break it down. There are a few key areas that I believe will have the biggest impact on who comes out on top in this fight. I really believe the initial exchanges between Khamzat and Robert will be arguably the largest part of that. Khamzat likes to come out swinging for the fences, going mad on takedowns, coming in at 100% energy, throwing everything on the line, relentless pressure and pace to quickly drown out his opponents. In the event of him not being able to secure a finish early, the idea here is that his opponent is just as tired as him, and now it's about who can suffer better, and Khamzat always backs himself to suffer better. This worked well in the welterweight division where he dominated everyone and dwarfed them with just size and strength. But we saw last when he fought Kamaru Usman, who's not a true middleweight, that in the third round when Khamzat was gassing, Usman was able to take over that third round, and had that been a 5-round fight, I think we would have seen a completely different outcome. With that being said though, I see a lot of people saying Khamzat needs to learn to pace himself, or Khamzat has a bad gas tank. First of all, I don't think Khamzat has a bad gas tank. I just don't think anyone could keep up a pace like that. But I don't think he needs to pace himself either. I think a lot of his success and a lot of his wins, they're there because of his relentless pressure and coming out at 100%. I think if you take that away, you played right into Robert Whittaker's hands. You're allowing him to set a pace, set a rhythm early on, find his shots, start picking his shots, and start piecing up Khamzat, which is not an ideal strategy for Khamzat. So I do believe he has to come out at 100%, has to look for that finish early, or at least has to put such a pace on Whittaker that by round 3, both of them are gassed, so that Whittaker can't just dominate him in the later rounds. Let's have a look at how Robert should approach this fight. I think one of the biggest mistakes Khamzat's past opponents have done is they underestimate the pressure Khamzat is able to exude in those first few rounds, the pace he's putting on, the energy he is willing to expend. So while Khamzat's up here, they're down here, and they just get overwhelmed. I think Robert needs to come out hard and fast as well. Try to A, at least stand neutral with him. B, push him back, which is unlikely, I believe. From Whittaker's perspective, I think Whittaker needs to come out hard, fast, and strong as well. I think he needs to try to at least match Khamzat's energy so he's not just overwhelmed. I think a large mistake that a lot of fighters against Khamzat make is they come out thinking, let's just endure, survive, let's play defensive for a round. That just allows Khamzat to come out and essentially not have to worry about your offense and go 100% of his energy into his own offense and just destroy you. Coming out with a bit more pressure, a bit more sense of urgency to combat that pressure he puts out, I think is going to be key part of Robert's game plan to try and neutralize some of that early offense. I think if he's successfully able to do that, Khamzat's going to tire in those later rounds, and Robert's not going to have taken enough damage or have worked hard enough to be gassed. I think that so long as Robert can endure and survive those first rounds without taking too much damage, without gassing too much, I think Khamzat's going to be in trouble. I mentioned before that Khamzat always backs himself with the suffering, to suffer harder than his opponents. But let's not forget, Robert is an actual middleweight, and he's used to dealing with people bigger and stronger than Khamzat is. I think we have to look at his fight against Yoel Romero. That was a war. That was a real war. And people might be going, well, Khamzat's had wars too, he had against Gilbert Burns. Yeah, Gilbert Burns is tiny, and that's nothing to take away from Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns has got huge balls, man. I don't know how he walks around with those things. But Khamzat towered over him, dwarfed him, like I said before. He had a war as a much smaller man. Robert isn't a much smaller man. Robert is thicker, his arms are bigger, his back, his lats, his chest is just thicker, gnarlier. He's a true middleweight. He's fought against the likes of Yoel. Yoel is far stronger than someone like Khamzat. So I think the experience of having those bigger, stronger opponents is going to play a key part and how Robert is going to be able to overcome that early pressure and then push the pace, turn this into a war, show Khamzat who the real dog is, and take his soul. So let's have a look at this round by round. Round 1, ball's in Khamzat's court. This round is the most vital round for Khamzat. If he's not able to get the ball rolling, get his confidence going, and try to diminish Robert's confidence in the first round, then this is going to be an awful night for Khamzat. For Robert, surviving the first round, getting through it, trying to push a pace himself, I think is going to be very important. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but in general, I would say round 1 will go to Khamzat Chimaev. Those early rounds have always been his. I think they will always be his. Like Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, they are world champions in the first round. Coming into the middle rounds, rounds 2, 3, and 4, I think we're going to start to see a little bit of a swing in the tide. If Robert makes it out of those rounds, survives round 2 as well, and starts getting into round 3, I think we're going to start to see Robert smell some blood, smell that and feel that Khamzat's strength and his pace is waning, and he's going to start pushing that pace harder and harder and harder and slowly start to overwhelm Khamzat with his strikes. That being said, if Khamzat has managed to push hard enough, do enough damage in those early rounds, we have seen sometimes, not often, but sometimes Robert has wilted to that pressure a little bit. So for Khamzat, he needs to make sure he establishes that strong early game to try and dominate those rounds for as long as he can, because as those rounds get longer and later, Robert will find his rhythm eventually, and Robert will start finding his shots. Round 5 will be Robert's, for sure, no doubt. If Khamzat allows it to get to that round, I would say ball is now in Robert's court to win. I would say Robert's won round 3, he's won rounds 4, and now he's looking to either get the finish or just coast to an easy victory through round 5. Once Robert starts to find his range, gets confident to throw his kicks, when he starts to feel confident in his range and his timing, that's when we start to see that 1-2 and then the beautiful head kick that kind of snakes up behind that second punch. I think this is going to be an incredible weapon for Robert if he can get it going, and I think knees down the middle as well. Overall, I think this is going to be an absolutely banger fight. Khamzat always brings it, Rob always brings it. Interestingly, the odds for this fight have Khamzat as a -230 favorite. I do find this a little bit odd. I mean, this does mean the odd makers believe they're pretty confident Khamzat's going to win this fight. I feel like they're underestimating Rob again. And Rob is a dog. He is a warrior. And especially if he makes it through rounds 1 and 2, I mean, there's going to be an absolutely brutal war in there. And I don't think Khamzat comes out on top on that war, not against a man like Rob. Anyway, to conclude this, I think this fight is going to be an awesome matchup. It is young, up-and-coming, hungry fighter versus a seasoned, hardened veteran. I think this is going to be an awesome clash. We're going to see, has Robert Whittaker's wrestling defense turned up on the night? Can Chimaev's early pressure dictate the fight's outcome? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Will Whittaker's experience outweigh Chimaev's hunger? Please like and subscribe to the video and hit the notification bell for any more updates on upcoming videos. Thank you for watching Fight Buzz, guys. See you next time.